baseball and softball
Okay.
teams, so I'm sure we'll have a couple of those, a couple concerts still left. Tonight we had track dedication, so she and I were actually at the track. Really nice. What's that?
I think parking space.
I did not. Don't try to not tell me a parking space.
Yeah.
Mr. McMath had a parking space right up. I had to park up top on the hill.
I tried to park, I couldn't find
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming to our board meeting this evening. We'll go ahead and get started, if we can, by the reading of our mission statement on the agenda. New Philadelphia City Schools will provide all students the opportunity to achieve their highest potential to become educated, self-sufficient, and responsible citizens. We are committed to providing every student a diverse, quality education within a safe and secure environment through a dedicated, innovative, and highly qualified staff in partnership with parents and the community at large. And if you'll stand and please say the Pledge of Allegiance with us. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Go ahead and call the roll then.
Mr. France?
Present.
Dr. Fuller?
Here.
Mr. Galantine? Yes. Mr. McMath?
Here.
Mr. Weaver?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, do I have a recommendation to approve the agenda of the regular Board of Education meeting?
So moved.
I'll second.
Mr. Galantine. Any additions, corrections, deletions?
What's that?
Call the roll.
Mr. France?
Yes.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.
Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting dated April 10th, 2023, and the special meeting dated April 11th, 2023?
So moved.
Mr. Galantine, and a second.
Second.
Dr. Fuller. Any questions, comments, or? All right, call the roll.
Mr. Galantine? Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. France?
Yes.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mrs. Wentworth?
So we have a special recognition here tonight. Was notified by Buckeye Career Center that one of our New Philadelphia students was actually the student of the month, I believe last month, and that would be Kiara Shotwell. And she's here with us tonight. She is a pharmacy tech student, and we wanted to recognize her here in New Philadelphia as well. So Kiara, you want to come?
Congratulations. Thank you. Good job. Well done.
Well done. Done.
All right, my favorite part of the meetings always is our building spotlight. Tonight, Mrs. Hall.
Hello. Sit right here.
That like me? Yes. What's so good? What's that candy thing?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, parents, for bringing your kids out tonight. Probably no one's going to remember what I say, but you'll remember what the kids say. I want to highlight our preschools here at New Philly. Just to give you some background, we have 3 different locations of preschools here at New Philly. One at East, one at West, and there are 4 classrooms at the Quaker Dome. Those are our fabulous staff members up there that work with the kids on a daily basis. I also have the information about our enrollment. It's hard to believe, but we do have about 200 students that are enrolled in our preschools here at New Philly. And to give you sort of perspective, we double anyone else in the county as far as size for our preschool. So pretty proud that our district has invested in the students here at the young age that they are. We have over 70 students on IEPs in preschool, and that includes the work that our itinerant teachers and our speech pathologists work with students that might not be attending there on site. And then we have 72 students that through a grant, a state grant, attend for free. So a lot of statistics you might not have known that I wanted to point out and to highlight. We have been working the last 3 years at the preschool with PBIS, and something that all of you probably have heard at the school age, but actually I think at the preschool, we started with PBIS maybe first. And for those of you who don't know what it stands for, up there on the board I have the acronym and what it is: Positive Behavior Intervention Supports. Well, what does that look like at the preschool level? Well, when they started 3 years ago, they started developing a matrix, and that matrix talks about the behaviors and the expectations that they have in all the different locations of the preschool. So Kingston, can you come up and show them our chart that we have displayed at all of our preschools?
Yeah, sure.
Can you hold it? So again, that's our matrix that our staff developed, and all the kids review that as they come into us. We send the information home as well. For the rest of the evening, to explain it a little bit more, I have questions being asked to all of our students that have come here to sort of tell in their own words what PBIS means to them. So first up, we have Liam Hall, if he would come up. And Colson, if you want to show Mr. Pong too when Liam comes up. Liam, can you come up here?
All right, first question, Liam, what does Mr. Pong want us to do?
They purple and kind.
Colson, you want to show him? Mr. Pong is the little guy that we have there that Liam mentioned wants all of the students to be safe, helpful, and kind at preschool.
Ooh, yeah.
Very nice.
Right, Evie, do you want to come up and tell what happens whenever you follow the rules of being safe, helpful, and kind?
Evelyn, what happens when you follow the rules of being safe, helpful, and kind?
But you don't have to speak into that.
Yeah, just if you wanted to.
Just tell them. You what?
You get a palm?
You get a palm.
Oh.
What else do you get on your hand, Evie? You get a stamp to be able to show your parents as well when you leave preschool that day.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Thank you, Evelyn.
All right, next up, William, can you come up?
William, what have you done to be helpful, safe, or kind at school?
Fine.
When you're kind, you get a positive palm. What have you done to be kind at school? Being a good friend when you play? All right, thank you. Right, Hannah, do you want to come up? And Colson, do you want to show what it is like whenever you get the positive palm in?
There we go.
Dunk.
Nice.
Thank you. All right, Dean, you want to come back up?
So Dean, can you tell us what the pong tube is that hangs in the classroom?
Helpful and kind.
All right.
You can have a movie night.
So all filled at preschool, you can have possibly a movie night, is what Dee's.
Something to drink. Find something to drink.
That's right.
That's
Excellent.
All right.
great.
Thank you, Dee. And last, Colson.
Okay, Colson, you ready, buddy? What was the favorite reward your class has earned?
Movie day.
Movie day, all right.
Popular.
Good job.
What movie did you watch?
Bug's Life.
Oh, that's a good one.
So I just wanted to highlight, Hannah helped out here with our pong tube, and Kingston as well helped out holding up our poster. But hopefully, if you have any other questions, you can answer, have them answer. But this is something that we follow on a regular basis at all of our schools. And I appreciate, again, the kids coming and the parents bringing them tonight.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Hall and everyone, so much for coming. You are all welcome to stay, but you are also welcome to go if you don't want to stay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, nice job.
Great job.
And,
Great job, Hannah.
Nice job.
What's happening? High five.
Great job.
Oh, thank you.
Give a high five.
Hey, nice job. Thanks.
How about you? You look like you're a high five.
Oh, that's funny.
Great work.
They were telling me all the way on, they all go to the preschool, so they were all telling me all the ways, but they get prongs on the way here, and then of course when we get here.
Crickets.
No way. Thank you guys.
That's great. Thank you.
It's been a while, but I just wanted to say hi and shake your hand.
How you doing? Good. Has been a
I
while.
remember you.
Good job. Dean's my nephew.
Okay, all right, great.
Did a great job.
Awesome, yeah. Good to see you.
Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Principal Liam is staying. Vice Principal Liam staying.
All right, I don't think we have any public participation this evening. So, treasurer's report.
Okay. This is really hard for me to follow after the preschool, because that was fun. This is a little more. So this evening I have the 5-year forecast. And I will try to make it short and sweet. If I can't switch that like that. So what I have for the 5-year forecast is the revenue, as we talked about in October for the forecast. In the countywide, the real estate taxes are up 17% based on the triennial update. So what you see is our taxes increasing. And from fiscal year 25, 26, and 27, we have a renewal on the ballot. And so you'll notice that the renewal is down in a lower line on the forecast. That's the renewal you're gonna vote on this evening. Tangible personal property tax and property tax allocations also increased by the 17% because those are all direct derivatives out of real estate taxes. The big issue right now for school funding is our restricted grants and aids and our unrestricted state grants. That's what we receive from the state of Ohio from ODE. So right now, the governor has our biennium budget, and for the proposal, he's proposing that we have the base of our foundation money at fiscal year 18. Because when House Bill 110 was brought in, they used the base of fiscal year 18. 18 was the frozen year. It's since gone to the House, and the House is proposing that we're gonna go to fiscal year 22. We won't know until June what they're actually gonna vote on. So what I've done for the forecast this evening is I've actually projected it at fiscal year 20 to kind of meet in the middle. It's gonna look better if we go to fiscal 22, and it's gonna be worse, and we'll have some discussion if it's at fiscal 18. I do expect it to come in at least at 20 is what the discussions are. And the next line item I'm gonna talk about is our salaries. So salaries, we negotiated those increases last year with the negotiated agreements. So those are frozen based on the way we had them in October. The increases going forward after the negotiated agreement are at 2%. Our health insurance, we just got our increases in premium rates, and those are at 6.9%. So we actually, that's the biggest increase we've had for 4 years. 4 years ago, it might have been 5 years ago, I'm sorry, it was 11%, and then we had 2 years at 0, a year at 4%, and we're coming in at 6.9. What they're projecting is because of COVID, people are now returning to the doctor, and next year we might have a larger increase on our health insurance premiums. So I forecasted 8% in 26 and 27 for those years. The other line item that you need to take note of is our purchase services. Purchase services, you'll notice in 2024, there's an increase of about $600,000. The reason for that increase is we have about $539,000 in a new program that we are projecting from the ECO ESC with our special education students. And this is going to be a help for those students. So we are projecting that we'll have between 11 and 20 students participate. The ECO ESC will hold that program down at Starlight, and they're going to have a BCBA work with those students. So there is a cost to that program, but we feel that it's well worth the money expended to take care of our students. Also, in that line item in purchase services is again our curriculum that we're staying on track with about $420,000 a year. Supplies and materials, if you look at 2022 and then look at the projected out the following years, you see an increase in supplies and materials. The reason for that is Chromebooks are now considered a supply. They used to be considered a capital outlay. So we had to move Chromebooks to supplies. And we spend about $300,000 a year on Chromebooks. Actually, we did spend $300,000 a year. This year, our Chromebooks went to $389,000 based on the increases we're seeing. And the last thing I do want to talk about to make sure that you're aware of is our ESSER money will be fully spent down in fiscal year 2024. So we'll be bringing on some additional expenditures in capital outlay and some other areas which I planned for, but they're kind of embedded when that grant is done. Some of the programs will go away, like we're gonna still hold summer school, but we're gonna look at summer school and how we're gonna approach it because that is no longer in the general fund. And we'll have a couple other things, but the big issue is and they haven't been purchased in the general fund since 2020.
What year is that, Julie?
In 2025.
Right.
ESSER will be gone in 2024. So our 2025 allocation for Chromebooks purchased in '24, and we just put our purchase order in for next year, which is in 2023. So with ESSER kind of closing out, that's gonna make a difference in some of those purchases. Again, in order to maintain a one-to-one environment, we have to make sure that we are able to purchase those. Really, that is short and sweet for the May forecast. Does anybody have any questions? That leaves us in the third year, we would be at 239,000. And again, keep in mind, when they do the biennium budget, if they adopt fiscal year '22, this is gonna look much different. All 5 years will be positive, and at the third year, we're gonna be about $2 million positive. So we're really thinking about the fiscal year '22 based on the foundation. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Have you ran it with the 22 and does it look a lot better?
It does. I did run it with 22. I, off the top of my head, can't tell you what the fifth year looks like, but
Yeah.
all 5 years were positive.
Okay.
And I believe it was 2.9 million in the fifth year.
And is it in the Senate now? Is that?
Yes,
Okay.
it's in the Senate. And Amy might be more up to date on it than I am. The superintendents have been staying way up to date on it. But the last that I heard was they projected that the Senate might stick on the fiscal year '22, so.
Yeah, that's what the discussion is the expectation is that they will keep the fiscal year '22 inputs in exchange for this backpack voucher bill. That's gonna be the trade-off, at least that's what the discussion is right now.
And we don't know what the effect of that voucher bill is gonna be on us.
They haven't given you any idea?
They don't know because they don't know how many people will take advantage of that program. So everything's kind of all up in the air. Like 80% of the public education students in Ohio will be eligible to participate though under the most recent rules they're proposing. So potentially it could have a huge impact or it could have little impact on us. We don't have a lot of choices for students.
Yeah.
There really isn't that many places they could, it's not like we're Cincinnati.
Right.
Where there'd be 1,000.
Right.
It's definitely going to impact the bigger cities where there have a lot of options. For us, there may be some impact, but not to the degree that it will be on the other districts.
Any other questions for me?
Just one, not to get deep in the weeds here, but if Chromebooks are gonna be in supplies and materials, then there's a move up for that. Where's it coming out of? Like, where were they before?
ESSER. So we paid for Chromebooks out of ESSER 2 and ESSER 3.
Okay,
In ESSER 2, we had to have at least in ESSER 3, we had to have at least 20% of that for lapse learning. And so we kind of approached it that staying with our one-to-one would address the lapse learning. And then in ESSER 2, we had, seems to me we had 600.
okay, yeah. Where would it have hit before the ESSER monies? Like when we were just paying for them?
Capital outlay.
Gotcha.
But at that point, we weren't one-to-one, so the
Yes.
cost was significantly less.
Got it. Okay,
We didn't become one-to-one until fiscal year '21.
okay,
True one-to-one.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Great. That's great. And I know we can only do what's been legislated, but I guess confidence level on this fiscal year 22 versus 20, I mean, is that something people feel optimistic is going to happen, or is this a 50-50 thing, or?
No, the discussion that I heard
as of last week was that they're very optimistic, that that's really where the discussion is. Now, that could change on the
Sure.
at the drop of a
Yeah.
hat, but right now it's looking very positive.
It's that voucher program that's the pivotal thing because it's kind of the give. They want the voucher program, so they're willing to give the 22.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I'll proceed with the rest of my section. In your folder, you have the financial statement, the key indicator, the cash flow, and the check register. Everything is in balance for April. You also have QDA and QPA financial reports to review as the sponsor, and you have our bank reconciliation, and we are reconciled. I also have the Vincent Master Services Agreement, and that's the agreement for our tech services. And it's a 3-year agreement, so I put out the totals for each year. We use from Vincent a special education module called Checkpoint. We also have to have that for approval. The ECO ESC Services Agreement for $58,813, and that $58,813 comes directly off of our foundation payments. I'm asking you to accept the donation from the Quaker Club for the Quaker Dome athletic floor in the amount of $326,000, and then for the same item, approve the contract with Ohio Floor for the Quaker Dome athletic floor not to exceed $326,000. I have donations from the West Accelerated Reading Program. West has been doing a reading program, and there's been multiple donations. This is the second round of donations on our board agendas. And then I have a couple minor amended appropriations and amended certificates. And then last but not least, I'm asking you to approve the 5-year forecast as presented.
Do I have a motion to approve the financial report?
So moved.
Mr. Weaver, a second?
Second.
France. Questions? Nope. All right.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. France?
Yes.
Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Motion carries. The next item I have is the second resolution to, this is a series of resolutions for the renewal of the emergency levy. So this is the second resolution for that renewal. And it has to be a specific vote. That's why it's kind of set aside by itself.
Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So move.
Second? Mr. Gallanton? Any questions about it? Call roll.
Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Galantine? Mr. France?
Yes.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, we have a few personnel items here. The first one I want to draw your attention to is that Chris Bourne, a longtime custodian, in fact, 45 years as custodian, will be retiring as of September 30th. So we were able to celebrate his work and his retirement at our teacher appreciation dinner last week. I think there were 50 people there specifically just to see him and celebrate him. So that was a very nice evening for him, as well as the other teachers that we honored and were able to appreciate at that night. Few resignations to include here as well, adding a few more substitutes and volunteers. And then we started some additional summer school hiring that are listed, and a few supplementals. There will be the bulk of our supplementals for next school year, to start next school year, will be on next month's agenda.
Summer School 2 is listed separately from Summer School 1 because they occur in 2 different fiscal years, so we have to approve those items separately. And with that, make a motion to approve and entertain any questions.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Mr. Gallantuy. Yep, any questions? Nope. All right, cool.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. Gallantyne? Mr. France?
Yes.
Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Motion carries.
The Business Advisory Council is actually meeting tomorrow, so there will be updated minutes after that meeting. I will be attending that meeting and can give you more insight after that.
Facilities Committee? I think we continue with the 416 building for the buses and everything to be finished up and be able to move into that soon. Southside Properties closing the 30th? 25th. Properties closing then. So continue to maintain that. I think the city's pretty happy with that and everything. So as far as the building and stuff. Anything else, Dave?
I guess rolling right into item C there, the Safety Committee. The things we did discuss at the Facilities Committee was the condition of some of the window screens that are on the outside of the windows in the buildings. And the question was raised, do we peel them off? Do we replace them? What's the best way to handle that? And I think rightfully so, the decision that was made was that the Safety Committee ought to figure out how we're going to ask those kinds of questions to our safety folks in the community, the police department, fire department, sheriff's department, and get their input when these kinds of questions come up. It seems like every time a tragedy happens that those folks learn a little bit more and their perspective changes on what is and what isn't going to be best practice for a school building. And so no, we look forward to sitting down together and getting their input so we make a good decision how we're going to move forward with that.
So Amy sent out the information for the summer's plans for the high school air conditioning and stuff. So that's all underway.
Great.
So Mr. Haney met and everybody's ready to go.
We are ready to go June 1st, literally.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Any other questions about any of that? Mr. Williams, I don't think you have a whole lot for.
You know what, now that we go back to Julie's report, I would like to highlight something cool because we have Mrs. Hall here, the one on the left, holding the small human. We talked about accelerated reader and what you guys are approving. It's pretty awesome. We purchased Accelerated Reader. It's a program that our 4th and 5th graders, where they read a book and they take a quiz and get points for it. And so Mrs. Hall and Ms. Reed came to me and asked me for that last year to replace some other things. And I'd love for Mrs. Hall to just kind of talk about some of the cool stuff and what they approved and why, what that's being used for.
With accelerated reading?
Yeah, tell them, because I think it's super cool what you're going to do with it.
Yeah, so we've used it this year, so they are reading books throughout the year and taking quizzes on it. One thing that we saw was lacking was they were reading, but we had no gauge of their comprehension, so these kind of filled that void with that. And we have different rewards. They have quarterly goals, and all of their goals are based off of their levels. And the point values are, and if they earn, so we're gonna have an ice cream party at the end of the year. Like first quarter, they could have earned a bowl. If they get their second goal, they can earn ice cream, and then toppings come after that. So we're gonna have that party, and then we're also going to have, for their points, an AR auction. And Mr. Williams is actually gonna be our auctioneer. He agreed to do that at the end of the year. And we've had so many generous donations from community members and organizations and businesses to help support this. And the students are so excited, and we've seen quite a bit of reading going on this year. So we're excited to see how that pays off for us.
Great.
Wait, well, and tell them never go anywhere without a book in their hand.
I don't think they're reading it. Any of them have read that book yet, Dan. So yeah, that's something awesome that she's done. So I thought we'd highlight her.
You. All right, superintendent's report?
All right, so items to approve tonight include the 23-24 preschool handbook, the 23-24 Welty handbook. I'd like to ask you to approve our second reading and the adoption of the board policies as listed. Item D, approve the updated job description for the activities manager. This is the position that Mr. Ed Marsh had held, and we've kind of tweaked the job description. I provided that for you in your folder in a couple weeks prior to review. Approve the resolution for the Ohio School Council's policy change, and I can speak to that more in a minute as well. Approve the non-routine field trip for the National Speech and Debate Tournament. We have a couple students who have qualified for that. Approve the non-routine field trip for the 6th grade camp next fall. And finally, approve the class of potential 2023 graduates. If I could have a motion, then I can give you a few more.
So moved.
Oh,
Mr. France, 1, Mr. Gallatin, 2.
The speech and debate tournament, we actually have 2 students who have qualified. That is in Phoenix, Arizona. So they will be driving there. They are paying for that through fundraisers. It is at no cost to the district, but it's a pretty cool thing that we have
That's
students
awesome.
attending that.
They're driving there?
They are driving there. They were debating driving, flying, but last I heard, I believe they're driving. Now that could potentially change, but last I heard.
Awful.
You get to see the countryside that way.
Plenty of time to practice.
Exactly. The Ohio School Council's policy change update, that is at their request that districts who are involved with the Ohio School Councils approve that. When they initially started, they had a small group of schools that has now expanded. And for them to meet their threshold of schools on site to do any work is pretty difficult when they have 277, I believe 70 some schools. So that is the reason for that. And then, of course, the activities manager position, we have tweaked that. We being Tim Fortin has done a ton of work with that to try and make that position be a little more appropriate to what our needs are and in alignment with what the other districts in the conference do as well. So, any questions?
No? All right. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. France?
Yes.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.
Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to consider the investigation of complaints against a public employee or official. Move. All right. Second?
Second.
Seconded.
Mr. Weaver. Call the roll.
Mr. France?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Galantine? Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Motion carries.
No
Thank you.
action to follow the executive session.
Yes, no action.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Mrs. Hall, for everything tonight.